Hey everybody, welcome back to the 80sSlashers YouTube channel. In this video, I will be taking a look at and ranking my 5 favorite Canadian 80sSlashers. So as some of you may be aware, um, well, as most of you may be aware, during the 80s, a large majority of the slasher films that were made were obviously made in the United States. And these are obviously some of the best 80s slashers that were ever made. But however, there were a few other countries that were also making slasher films at this time as well. Now, most famous, of course, is the Italian horror films. They were being made. They started being made in the '60s through the '70s, and they just continued making them all the way through the '80s as well. So they were definitely a more of a popular, more familiar country for horror films and slasher films. Another country is Spain. Spain, they have a few really good slasher films that were made during the '80s as well. But what we're going to talk about in this video is the Canadian slashers that were made. Now, I am obviously completely biased, being a Canadian myself, but I honestly feel that the Canadian slashers were some of the best slashers made during the decade. Now compared to the American films, the quantity is nowhere close, obviously. But with the limited number of films that they made, I feel the quality of these films is right up there. It's like you just look at these ones here, and like there's a lot of really good Canadian slasher films that were made. Um, Now, I have a total of 11 films listed as Canadian 80s slashers. Now, other people may have more, some may have less. These are just the films um, that I've that basically fall within my criteria for what I consider to be an 80s slasher. Yeah, so I'll just go through the 11 films that I have yeah, listed by release date. So starting off 1980, we have Prom Night. Also in 1980, we have Funeral Home, and in 1980 again, we have Terror Train. And then 1981, we have two films. We have My Bloody Valentine, and we have Happy Birthday to Me. 1982, we have two more. First one is Visiting Hours, and follow that we have Humongous. 1983, we have Curtains. Then we skip a few years ahead to 1986 and Killer Party. And the last two Canadian 80s slashers I have, both from the year 1987, American Gothic, and the last one I have is Prom Night 2, Hello, Mary Lou. So yeah, not a huge list of films to be sure, but um, in terms of a list of 80 slashers, this is a hell of a lineup in my opinion. It's very strong. There's not really a bad film in there. Um, I'll go and say Humongous. I'm not a fan of Humongous, so that was clearly the bottom for me. But everything else is an enjoyable slasher film. So yeah, so the Canadian slashers, two thumbs up. It was a good little subgenre of the 80s slasher, in my opinion. So yeah, so all right. So with all that out of the way, let's just get right into it, and we'll yeah start off by ranking my top 5 Canadian slashers. So let's start it with number 5. All right, so coming at number 5, we have Curtains from 1983. Now, Curtains it's a different sort of 80s slasher film. As it's one that I consider to be like an adult slasher. One that was, not necessarily made for teens. The like the cast in it are adults. And they have like adult problems. They're dealing with adult issues. Um, so it doesn't have the teenager problems, the teenage cast, the silly, ridiculous stuff that's going on. So due to that, this film kind of has like a classy feel. It's just not your typical, I don't know, I don't want to say like, but like kind of like a brain dead, the teen silliness going on. It doesn't have that. It's more of a, like a, yeah, it's just kind of a classy slasher, if that is a thing, if that makes sense. But even with that, adult feel, it still for the most part follows, the 80s slasher formula. And it has a lot of great moments. It really does. Like I said, the cast is great. The lead actors, like they're real actors. They've been in a lot of stuff, and they just happen to agree to act in a slasher film, which is fantastic. Um, so yeah, like the acting is really good, and it just lends some credibility to the film. A lot of these films, like even though it's part of the charm, and I do like it when you have like the terrible teen actors that just stink up the screen. Like I said, I like that. It's a charming aspect to 80 slashers that I like, but yeah, this just kind of you feel like you're watching like a real film, like real filmmakers with real actors, and it's nice. It's a nice change. Anyway, the pacing of this film, it's a I don't want to say it's a like a slow burn film, but it takes its time. It's focused on a lot of the atmosphere, and a lot of character development, which it all for me it all that all pays off in the end. So it goes through the paces, and it's a good payoff. Now, I wouldn't say this is the most gory film. Definitely like not on this list. There's not a ton of nudity, so in terms of, those typical elements found in these films, it has it. It's just not, it's not overabundance. But this is it's just a solid slasher. Now the one thing that just always stands out for me in this film, there's like a highlight scene. It's probably on the back. Yeah, there's right here. I don't know if you can see there. It's basically there's like a figure skating scene on like a frozen lake or frozen pond, and the figure skating scene like on ice skates, so Canadian, of course, but it turns into like an ice skating chase scene, and like the killer wearing this isn't a woman, this is like a hag mask is what I think they call it. Um, and it's chasing the victim with this big like this, you can see like the what's this called, oh, I'm drawing a blank on this type of weapon. Yeah, like a Sith. So, I can't remember. Anyway, like a big curved blade, and the scene is just fantastic. The music for this scene is a song called "Save My Soul" by Canadian, legend rocker from the Guess Who, Burton Cummings. This is when he was after the Guess Who, doing his solo career, in the '70s and early '80s. And yeah, "Save My Soul," such a good song. Any Canadian knows Burton Cummings. They know this song. I'm sure a lot of people know the song "Save My Soul." But just to have this scene with that music, it's such a highlight for me. It's the thing that I think about. I think of Curtains. I think, oh yeah, Burton Cummings, the ice skating scene. It's very memorable. Yeah, so that's what I think of Curtains. I like this film. It just has a good Canadian feel to it. So coming at number five from 1983, Curtains. All right, let's move on to number four. All right, so coming at number four, we have Prom Night from 1980. Now, Prom Night is a lot of fun. Many there's many things that make this just a really this is just a really solid slasher for me. Nothing stands out like there's like it's not like the best location, not the best kills, not the best nudity. It just everything comes together. It's a well-made film, and it just I don't know something about it. It's just a solid film. It's just you can't ask for anything more than this. It's your atypical 80s slasher. It's great. I really like this film. This has a really good school setting. Like a lot of the film, obviously, Prom Night, it takes place in at a school, and a lot of it is after hours. During the prom, like a dance. So scenes taking place in a school at night is fantastic for me. I just love that setting. I think it's fantastic. So yeah, it has a really good atmosphere. Um, this film has some really really decent kills. They're just kind of fun. They're just a little unique. There's a really great decapitation scene in this. No, we don't get to see it there. Um, but yeah, we get a little Jamie Lee Curtis action there. Um, yeah, the decapitation scene is really good. Um, we also get we get like a really long chase scene in the school. It might be one of the longest chase scenes um, I've ever seen in a slasher. It's really long. It's really good. Um, yeah, so that's something it has, and it also has a really fun disco dance scene. We get to see Jamie Lee Curtis doing some disco dancing. This is 1980. Disco wasn't quite dead yet, I guess. It was hanging on for dear life at this point. Um, so yeah, that's fun. The fun is just the film is just fun. It's just there's a lot of good little elements like that. The the plot twist at the end, the reveal. I think it's really well done. I like the plot twist in this one. The story, it all makes sense. It wraps up nicely. Yeah, this is overall. Like I said, it's just a really solid slasher. Good setting, some fun kills. It just has a little bit of everything. So, yeah, not too much to say about this, I guess. Obviously good cast. Jamie Lee Curtis. I love it. Slashers with Jamie Lee Curtis. They just go hand in hand. This is kind of her thing, and this is one of her better ones. I really do. I really think that. And Leslie Nielsen, of course. We used to him as a comedic actor, but he's really good as like the father figure in this. And yeah, yeah. So number four, 1980, Prom Night. All right, move on to number three. All right, so coming to number three, we have Terror Train, also from 1980, also starring Jamie Lee Curtis. Now this film for me is all about the setting. The obviously the train setting. This is just a fantastic setting to put a slasher film. It's very claustrophobic for one thing. Everything is just squeezed in, tightened up. It just works really good. There's a lot of isolation, because they're on a moving train. They're in the middle of nowhere. Even if the train stopped, you're in the mountains or in the woods. Like there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide. There's no escape. You're stuck on this train with a killer on the loose, and it just that whole concept just adds for me um, to the tenseness, like the scariness of the film. It works really well. I just love the setting for this film, obviously. Um, Now, like I said, once again, Jamie Lee Curtis, she's in this film, and she's great. Like she's just a really good scream queen. She's a good final girl. I don't know, she just plays the part really well. There's a reason why she's gone down in history as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, scream queen of all time. I don't know. It's just she has a presence, I guess, and she just does a really good job. So yeah. So do I like her better in this or Prom Night? You know, she, I'll say that she's not too different. Like the characters she plays, they're not all that differently. Like, so maybe she doesn't have a lot of range within these films, but the range that she has, she knocks it out of the park. She's really good. So yeah, I like that she's in this film. Um, Another cool thing about this, it's just a really fun idea. Like the killer, it's doing like a costume party on the train, so everyone's dressed up in like a costume. And as the killer makes a kill, they take the victim's costume and wear that. And then they, now that's their new costume. They kill the next person, they take that person's costume. So if somebody sees them, like, oh yeah, I saw them going in with the person in this costume, that's the killer. Then they look for that killer, and it's that person's dead, or it's someone else wearing the costume. So he always swapping the costumes, so that the killer's always one step ahead of everybody. Really, just a fun idea, very creative. It keeps you on your toes. You just don't know what's going on. You can't guess at who it is. It's really good. I really like that. And I should say this film, not on the back cover. David Copperfield, the magician famous in the 80s and 90s. He's a small role in this film, and he does his magic tricks. It kind of livens it up. It just kind of adds to the atmosphere of like the party, and like their party and their costume, masquerade, Halloween type feel. It's great. It kind of adds. It's just a nice touch to the overall atmosphere of the film. So really liked that. And I liked the reveal in this film. It's something we've seen before. Like the revenge, kind of aspect. I won't get into too much into it, but we've seen it in these films a lot before. Is it a little predictable? Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say. On a first watch, maybe you won't be able to guess it. But it's a good reveal, and it's creepy. It has like a creepiness to it. I won't get into it, but there is just like makes my hair on the hair on my skin stand up a little bit when the reveal happens. It's good. It's really well done. So yeah, Terror Train, just a solid film, really fun. Like the setting is clearly the superstar of this film for me, but there's a lot of fun things. Like I said, the costume swapping is great. Jamie Lee Curtis, David Copperfield, a train. You can't go wrong. So yeah, number three from 1980, Terror Train. All right, let's move on to number two. All right, so coming at number two, we have Happy Birthday to Me from 1981. Now, this is a fun slasher. It's a film that has just a little bit of everything for me. There's some really fun characters in it. There's a few different locations that are used. There's not one set location that it's all placed in. There's like a school setting, which I always like. I'm a sucker for scenes filmed at a school. There's some daytime scenes, nighttime scenes. There's some stuff at people's homes. There's some like a kind of a creepy, I don't know if it's a cabin or like a guest house or something like that. Yeah, there's like I think there's like a graveyard, some like graveyard scenes, a lot of different things thrown in this, and it's fun. It looks good. It's just like a good mix of setting, I guess. Now the kills in this, there's some really creative, fun kills in this film. There's stuff like you get like the regular stuff, like there's like a throat slit, which I'm a sucker for. I love the throat slits. But then you get stuff like there's like a death by motorcycle wheel. There's a death by weightlifting, and of course there's death by shish kebab. um, yeah, it's just great. Like it's not your typical machete, knife, like the axe, like the typical stuff we get, which I love. Don't get me wrong, but I love it when they kind of step outside and they come up with creative ways to kill people. And this film does a really good job of it. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the kills, and they're not like the best practical effects, super gory. Like they're good, but it's not like you're not gonna talk about this with some of the Friday films and the Prowler and Intruder pieces. Like it's not at that level. But just the creativity and the uniqueness of the kills are just a lot of fun. Now, but the the most memorable thing about this film, and maybe the most controversial, I don't know, it depends. I've read some stuff, but is the ending. The ending in this film. Um, Now, if you've never seen the film before, you're going in blind. I think it's impossible to guess the reveal, which I like. And you know, and it's not. I don't think it's a cheap. Like it's impossible because it doesn't make sense. I feel like it does make sense. There's just not enough hints and clues throughout. I like the reveal. I like the twist. Some people don't like it. Some people think it's um, I don't know. I don't know why they don't like it, to be honest. Like I think it's maybe they feel cheated. Maybe like, oh, there's no way I can guess that. Maybe I'm not sure. I really like the ending of this film. I think it's uh, I don't know. It's creepy. It has a really creepy ending. It's pretty creative. It's unique. It's just a good set piece. Like the way it was, like the finale was like framed and shot. Some of like the imagery in the finale. Um, yeah, it's creepy and it's done well, and there's a lot of anger and confusion and some mean spiritedness. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on in the ending of this film, and I like it. And it elevated the film for me because the finale was just it's just so memorable. When I think back of this film, I think of that ending, and that's that's a good ending to me. If I look back in 10 years, I'm like I don't remember much about this film, but I remember the ending. It did something, so it's one of those for me. Yeah, so like I said, Happy Birthday to me. It's a fun film. Has a good setting, some pretty great unique kills, and a crazy ending. So what more can you ask for? So yeah, this is a fun film. If you haven't checked this one out, definitely do so. I feel like this is one I should maybe review coming up. It's been a while since I've seen it. I think it's due for a review. So maybe coming up in a few next reviews, I'll take a look at that. I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, so that's number two. So 1981, Happy Birthday to Me. All right, let's move on to number one. All right, so coming at number one, of course, from 1981 is My Bloody Valentine. If anyone has been watching this channel and seen a bunch of my videos, this is probably no surprise. I've talked about this film quite a bit. It's one of my favorite 80s slashers of all time, not just Canadian slashers. It's one of my favorite of the whole genre. It's in my top five easily. I think it's even in my top three. Like it's way up there for me. Um, I feel like I've talked about this film. I did a full review on this, so you can go back and check that out if you want. But this film has it all. Like again, just like Terror Train, for me, one of the main stars of the show is the location, and for this film, it's twofold. Um, yes, the mining location, like the scenes shot down in an actual mine, are fantastic. They're dark, they're terrifying, they're claustrophobic. It's isolation. They're scary as hell. Being down in a mine by itself. I've been down in a mine, and it's scary. You're always afraid, it's gonna be a cave in. That's what I was thinking. Like Jesus Christ, if the mine caves in, there's not much worse than that. But being down there when like a mass killer is chasing you is it just elevates that to a whole other level. So yeah, the mine location is just fantastic, terrifying. But when they're up above ground, like this is the film that captures East Coast Canada, where I'm from. So again, I'm biased. This is filmed in Nova Scotia, and I grew up. I grew up in PEI, Prince Edward Island, but I lived in Nova Scotia for a few good years when I was a teenager. So this film just captures it for me. I don't know. It just does a really good job. The small town, blue collar feel, mining town. It's fantastic. There's like one big road into town. They have a bar. They have a Legion. They have like a dance hall. There's a laundromat, and we get to see all this little stuff. It's fantastic. So the setting is just off the charts. The killer in this, the Harry Warden. The masked miner outfit with the big pickaxe. Um, One of the best in the whole franchise, in the whole genre, 80s slasher genre. Like he's, definitely top five, maybe top three. Like He's fantastic. I love Harry Warden. The kills, and especially when you watch this version, which is the Screen Factory, you get like the uncut, the special edition. The kills are fantastic. They're mean spirited. They're scary. They're gory. They're creative. There's some very unique, like a girl getting picked up by her head and shoved onto like a shower sprinkler, so the water is like shooting out her open mouth, like stuff like that. Fantastic. Just this film just has it all. Um, yeah, it's just everything we expect from to see in an 80s slasher. Um, My Bloody Valentine has it. Like this is it. This is what I look for. Um, the only knock on this film and is there's no nudity within this film. There's a little bit of a like a at the beginning there's like a little titillation scene. But yeah, no nudity. Don't care. Everything else is the kills and the setting. They're off the charts. It doesn't matter. Like, who cares about the nudity? That's like a little bonus they throw in for us every once in a while. Um, yeah, this film, I don't know. I got every time I talk about this film, I just gush about it. I just absolutely love this film. This is an easy choice for the best Canadian 80s slasher for me, hands down. Yeah, so that's it, guys. So once again, thanks everybody for subscribing to the channel. Leaving some comments, just watching the videos, and hitting the like button, all that good stuff. It's all appreciated. Helps the channel. So yeah, so thanks for all that. If you want to check out my just my overall top 10 80s slashers, I'll put a link on the screen. You can check that out here. And if you want to check out my full review of my Bloody Valentine, I'll put the link up on the screen here. All right, so that's it, guys. So until next time. All right, see ya.